Are you too organized? Did you know that it was possible to be too organized? Well, if you find yourself frustrated because you feel organized, but also you still feel very overwhelmed by everything on your plate, you're going to want to stick around for this episode, where we're going to break down the difference between being organized and being productive. So if your color-coded calendar isn't quite bringing you the stress relief that you're seeking, stay tuned. Welcome to the Do More, Stress Less podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Hasselberger, a time management and productivity coach. In every episode, I give you actionable, practical tips to help you learn to use your time in a way that feels good to you every day. No more hustling, scrambling, or struggling to keep your head above water. So let's dive in, and soon enough, you'll be doing more and stressing less. Now, I have a question for you. What does your desk look like? Not your desktop, but your actual physical desk. Is it a total disaster? Is it full of stuff, but it's highly organized? Or is it Spartan, totally clear? There's nothing on it except for maybe a pen and, something to drink. And most importantly, how does it feel to you when you sit down to work at that desk? Why? Well, recently a client shared a story with me that a colleague that he respected greatly stopped by his desk and remarked that there was way too much paper on it. He was a bit taken aback because other colleagues had told him that his desk was, quote, so organized, and he'd seen that as a real point of pride. And so I asked him to show me his desk. And you know what? It was very organized. There were neat and tidy piles of paper interleaved in equal intervals. It definitely wasn't what we qualify as like a mess. But then I asked him what those papers were for and how he used them. And the reality is that he didn't really use them at all. They were reminders of stuff that was not quite done. But he didn't need those reminders because he was already keeping that stuff in Asana, a task manager, and he's pretty darn consistent in its use, so good for him. It turned out that all of that organized paper was doing nothing except stressing him out, right? And that makes sense because studies show that clutter increases cortisol. And objects that are neither useful or beautiful are the definition of clutter, at least in my book. Now, so what does cortisol do? You may have heard of this. Cortisol is your stress hormone. It's your fight or flight hormone. And in excess, it makes you more distractible. It makes you less able to focus, and it messes with your sleep. And all of that, well, it makes you less productive. So while organized, my client's desk was not one that fostered productivity. Being organized is not the same as being productive, but we often conflate these two things, right? Being organized, it doesn't mean that you're using your time well, unfortunately. Now, I often see the same thing with clients who are super stressed about time when we start working together before they transform their relationship to time, and they can't quite figure out why because they are, quote, organized, right? They're using a task app and it's very organized, right? And they aren't wrong. When I look at what they're doing, when I look at their app, their lists, it is organized, but it's not useful, right? And in fact, in most cases, it's too organized. They're spending a lot of time organizing things into categories and subcategories in an attempt to feel in control. But this excess categorization, this excess organization, means that it's actually harder to figure out what to do today, tomorrow, and next week, which is, in my experience, the entire point of a task system, right? Now, sometimes I see this beautifully organized color-coded calendars, right? This is something I see all the time. And then these beautifully organized color-coded calendars are ignored, right? It's organized, but it doesn't reflect reality because it's not useful. It's beautiful, but not useful, and therefore it becomes digital clutter. Now, my clients are often surprised when I say things like, only add complexity where it becomes necessary, or stop filing your email, or at least reduce the number of categories that you're filing it into. When you strive for this organization, it's a false symbol, right? It gives you the facade. It gives you an image of productivity and control without actually helping you to meet your goals. And sometimes it's even counterproductive. Now, if you are ever ready to move from organized to productive, I can certainly help you do that. So please feel free to reach out. But I want you to think about this for yourself. Are you focusing on the wrong metrics? Are you organized, but that is not translating to actual productivity? And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Do More, Stress Less podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I've got a little something else you might want to know about. I want you to check out my free class, 3 Secrets for Always Having Enough Time for Your Work, Your Family, and most importantly, yourself. It's short, it's practical, it's packed with strategies that you can use right away, and it's free. You can grab your spot at the link in the show notes or at alexishasselberger.com. See you next time.